What if you could watch Europe's entire history, every year, every twist, every secret, unfold in one epic journey? The truth behind Europe's rise, collapse, and rebirth will shock you. This isn't just a timeline. It's the untold, emotional story of Europe, year by year, from the very beginning to 2025. Stay till the end, and you'll discover the hidden forces, shocking twists, and life-changing moments that shaped our world. You'll never see Europe, or yourself, the same way again. Let's start at the very beginning. Picture a world untouched by human hands. Endless forests, wild rivers, and a sky full of mystery. No borders, no nations, just the raw, untamed power of nature. 40,000 BC. In the shadowy caves of what's now France and Spain, early humans leave handprints and animal paintings. These are the first whispers of European history, hidden, fragile, and almost lost to time. 20,000 BC. The last ice age tightens its grip. Glaciers cover much of the continent. People huddle in small bands, fighting for survival. But even now, they dream of something more. 10,000 BC. The ice begins to melt. Rivers roar, forests spread, and the first seeds of civilization are planted. People settle, farm, and build the first villages. But with every new beginning, there's a hidden danger: rival tribes, wild animals, and the ever-present threat of the unknown. 7,000 BC. Villages rise along the Danube. The first farmers shape the land, inventing tools and pottery. But the world is still full of secrets, and every year brings new challenges. 5,000 BC. Mysterious stone circles appear in Britain. Who built them? Why? The secret is still buried beneath the earth. But one thing is clear: Europe is waking up. 3,000 BC. The first cities emerge in Greece and the Balkans. Trade, writing, and power games begin. But just as Europe starts to find its voice, a new force arrives. 2,000 BC. Bronze weapons change everything. Wars erupt. Kingdoms rise and fall in the blink of an eye. The Minoans build palaces on Crete, then vanish in a single, shocking disaster. 200 BC. The mysterious sea peoples sweep across the Mediterranean, toppling empires. No one knows where they came from or where they went, but their impact is unforgettable. 800 BC. The Greeks invent democracy, but it's fragile, dangerous, and constantly under threat. Meanwhile, Rome is just a tiny village on the Tiber, dreaming of greatness. 753 BC. The founding of Rome. Imagine a muddy riverbank, wolves howling in the distance, and two brothers, Romulus and Remus, locked in a deadly struggle. This is where Rome begins, not as a city, but as a legend. The power of myth, ambition, and violence sets the stage for an empire that will one day rule the known world. But what no one knows is that this tiny settlement will become the heartbeat of Europe, shaping its laws, its wars, and its dreams for centuries. The secret? Rome's story is just beginning, and its rise will be more dangerous and more brilliant than anyone can imagine. You won't believe how a single vote in Athens changed the world. 500 BC. Persian armies thunder across the land. The fate of Europe hangs by a thread. In Athens, a single vote can mean life or death. 400 BC. Philosophers like Socrates and Plato ask forbidden questions. Their ideas are dangerous, so dangerous, Socrates is sentenced to death. But his words will echo for centuries. But the real twist came centuries later, when a forbidden faith became the law of the land. 300 BC. Alexander the Great sweeps across Europe and Asia, building an empire in a single lifetime. But what comes next will shock you. 146 BC. Rome destroys Carthage and conquers Greece. The Roman Empire is born, but its power comes at a price. 44 BC. The assassination of Julius Caesar. The Ides of March. Rome is tense, the air thick with conspiracy. Julius Caesar, the most powerful man in the world, walks into the Senate, unaware that his closest friends are about to betray him. With a flurry of knives, the Republic collapses into chaos. But here's the twist: Caesar's death doesn't. In the power struggle, it unleashes a storm. Civil war, ambition, and revenge tear Rome apart. The world watches as a republic dies and an empire is born. The lesson? Sometimes, the end of one story is just the beginning of another. AD 79. Mount Vesuvius erupts, burying Pompeii in ash. For centuries, the city's secrets remain hidden, until one day, they're uncovered, perfectly preserved at AD 313. Emperor Constantine legalizes Christianity. A forbidden faith becomes the heart of Europe. But this new power brings new conflicts. For 76 AD, the fall of Rome. Barbarian warriors storm the gates. The city that once ruled the world is burning, its people terrified, its leaders powerless. The Western Roman Empire collapses, and Europe plunges into darkness. But what comes next will shock you. In the ashes of Rome, new kingdoms rise, each fighting for power, land, and survival. The old order is gone, but the seeds of something new, something hidden and dangerous, are already taking root. The fall of Rome isn't the end. It's the start of a 1,000-year struggle for the soul of Europe. 800 AD, Charlemagne crowned. Emperor. Christmas Day, Rome. A king kneels before the Pope, and in a moment that will echo for centuries, Charlemagne is crowned Emperor of the Romans. Europe, fractured and violent, suddenly has a new hope: unity. But the dream is fragile. Old rivalries, secret plots, and the hunger for power threaten to tear everything apart. Charlemagne's empire is a miracle and a warning. The idea of Europe as one is born, but the struggle to make it real will haunt the continent for generations. 1066, the Norman conquest of England. A single battle changes everything. William the Conqueror crosses the sea, defeats King Harold at Hastings, and claims the English throne. The language, the laws, even the food, everything is transformed. But the real twist? The Norman conquest isn't just about England. It's a shockwave that ripples across Europe, changing alliances, sparking wars, and setting the stage for centuries of conflict and innovation. The secret power of one year? It can rewrite the destiny of a continent. AD 1096, the First Crusade begins. Tens of thousands march east, driven by faith and fear. The journey is brutal, the outcome uncertain. 1215, Magna Carta signed. A group of angry barons, a desperate king, and a document that will change the world. Magna Carta is more than a piece of parchment. It's the first time a king's power is limited by law. The idea is dangerous, even forbidden. But what comes next is even more shocking. The seeds of democracy, human rights, and justice are planted. Most people don't know it, but this moment in a muddy English field will echo in revolutions, constitutions, and courtrooms for centuries. But what happened after the Black Death will surprise you. 1347, the Black Death arrives. A ship docks in Sicily. Rats scurry ashore, carrying a hidden, deadly secret. Within months, the Black Death sweeps across Europe, killing millions. Fear, suspicion, and chaos rule the land. But here's the twist. Out of the horror comes transformation. Labor becomes valuable, old systems collapse, and new ideas take root. The plague is a tragedy, but it's also the beginning of the end. For the Middle Ages, the world will never be the same. 1453, the fall of Constantinople. Cannons thunder, walls crumble, and the last spark of the Roman Empire is snuffed out. Constantinople falls to the Ottomans, and Europe is shaken to its core. But the real twist comes later. Greek scholars flee west, carrying ancient knowledge that will ignite the Renaissance. The loss of a city becomes the birth of a new age, one of art, science, and genius. Sometimes, the darkest moments hide the seeds of the brightest revolutions. 1492, Columbus reaches the Americas, a small ship, a vast ocean, and a secret hope. For glory, Columbus lands in the New World, and Europe's destiny changes forever. The age of discovery begins, bringing wealth, power, and danger. But the cost is shocking. Entire civilizations are destroyed, and the world is never the same. The hidden truth? Every journey into the unknown comes with a price, and the consequences echo for centuries. 1517, Martin Luther's 95 Theses. A hammer strikes a church door in Wittenberg, and the world trembles. Martin Luther's protest against corruption in the Catholic Church sparks the Reformation. Suddenly, faith becomes a battlefield, and Europe is torn apart by war, suspicion, and revolution. But the real payoff? The Reformation unleashes new ideas about freedom, conscience, and power. The struggle is brutal, but the legacy is life-changing. 1588, the Spanish Armada, the most powerful fleet in the world, sets sail to crush England. But storms, strategy, and sheer luck destroy the Spanish Armada. The balance of power shifts, and a new era begins. But what most don't know is that this defeat isn't just about ships and sailors. It's about the rise of new empires, the spread of new ideas, and the beginning of the end for old certainties. The world is changing, and nothing can stop it. 1648, the Peace of Westphalia. After 30 years of brutal war, Europe is exhausted. The Peace of Westphalia redraws the map, creating the modern nation-state. The idea is revolutionary. Countries, not empires, will shape the future. But the real twist? This peace is fragile, and the struggle for power, identity, and survival is far from over. The seeds of future conflicts and future hope are planted in this moment. 1789, the French Revolution. Paris erupts. The Bastille falls. The old order collapses in a storm of violence, hope, and terror. The French Revolution is a shockwave that shakes Europe to its core. Kings tremble, empires fall, and the dream of liberty is born. But the real story is more complicated. Revolution brings both freedom and fear, progress and pain. The lesson? Every dream has a dark side, and every victory comes with a cost. 1815, the Battle of Waterloo. Napoleon, the genius and the tyrant, faces his final defeat. The Battle of Waterloo ends an era of war and ambition. Europe's map is redrawn, and a fragile peace settles over the continent. But what comes next is even more dangerous. The struggle for power, the rise of new nations, and the seeds of future revolutions. The end of one empire is just the beginning of another story. 1914, the outbreak of World War I. A single gunshot in Sarajevo ignites the deadliest war the world has ever seen. Trenches, gas, and unimaginable loss. The old world dies, and a new, uncertain era begins. But the real twist? The war to end. All wars only sets the stage for even greater conflicts. The scars of 1914 will shape Europe and the world for generations. 1939, the start of World War I. Hitler's armies sweep across Europe. The Holocaust, the Blitz, D-Day, Europe is on the brink of total collapse. But in the darkest hour, courage, resistance, and sacrifice shine through. The war ends with cities in ruins, but hope is reborn. The lesson? Even in the face of unthinkable evil, the human spirit can survive and rebuild. 1945, the end of World War I. The guns fall silent. Europe is shattered, divided, and exhausted. But from the ashes, a new dream rises: unity. The seeds of the European Union are planted, and enemies become partners. The real payoff? The idea that peace is possible, even after the worst disaster in history. 1989, the fall of the Berlin Wall. A wall that divided families, cities, and dreams comes crashing down. The Iron Curtain lifts, and Europe breathes free. The world watches, in disbelief as old enemies embrace, and a new era of hope begins. But the real twist? The struggle for unity, identity, and freedom is far from over. The story of Europe is still being written. One thing happened that no one expected: the fall of the Berlin Wall. Overnight. 2004, the EU expands east. 10 new countries join the European Union. Borders open, economies boom, and a new generation grows up without fear of war. But the real challenge is just beginning. How to unite so many different peoples, histories, and dreams. The secret? Europe's strength has always been its diversity and its willingness to change. 2022, war returns to Europe. Russia invades Ukraine. The world holds its breath as old fears return. But something unexpected happens. Europe unites, stands strong, and supports freedom. The struggle is far from over, but the lesson is clear. The fight for peace, justice, and hope never ends. The future is unwritten, and the next chapter is up to us. And now, here we are. The story isn't over. Europe stands at a crossroads, its past full of secrets, its future unwritten. 2025, And now, here we are. The story isn't over. Europe stands at a crossroads. Its past full of secrets, its future unwritten. But Europe's greatest secret? It's not in the past, it's in what happens next. So, why does this story matter? Because Europe's history isn't just a list of dates. It's a living, breathing lesson in resilience, reinvention, and the power of unity. Every year, every twist, every secret has shaped the world we live in today. The wars, the revolutions, the moments of hope and heartbreak, they're not just Europe's story. They're all of ours that if you look closely, you'll see echoes of these struggles in your own life. The fight for freedom, the search for meaning, the courage to start again after disaster. Europe's past is a mirror, showing us what's possible and what's at stake when we choose to come together or when we let fear and division win. What moment in Europe's history shocked you most? Comment below, and if you want more, subscribe for the next unbelievable story.